Hello and welcome back to season 6 of Let's Talk Shop. I'm so happy to be back. The podcast has had a bit of a break, a fairly long one, and I could not be more excited. This season is going to be quite different to previous seasons. I have one guest. Yeah, it's Sasha from Checky Zebra. You might have listened to one of her previous episodes where she shared really honestly about how her business has grown and how wholesale had not worked for her. And me and Sasha have been working since the summer on her wholesale, and we are documenting the journey, and she is going to share what she's learned and what has gone well and not so well. So welcome back to season 6. I hope that you're excited about this new type of format. New for this year is also that I have recorded everything in video, so you can also tune in on YouTube. And it'd be great if you do watch it on YouTube, if you can like and subscribe. Of course, if you are watching or not watching, listening on Apple Podcast or Spotify or Google Podcast, whichever your preferred podcast provider is, then do please like or subscribe or follow or whatever the platform allows you to do so you don't miss the next episode. When I launched this podcast, it was all about sharing business stories and tips and advice to help you feel more confident about running a small business. And I think this kind of content this season is showing you exactly that. And I hope that you will feel motivated and encouraged, and also see that not everything is perfect all the time, and that is okay. We are going to head straight into today's episode, and I hope that you will enjoy it and that you will tune back in next week. Hi, Sasha.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
So Sasha came as a guest on the podcast last season or the season before. And we talked about wholesale and how she lost money doing wholesale. And she was basically quite against it. But guess what? She's now wholesaling.
Yeah, I've converted.
So we've kind of been documenting the journey for her, and we've been working together on her wholesale, and we are going to release season 6 to share her experience, what has worked, what hasn't worked, what she's had to do. And this episode, number 1 of season 6, is going to be all about her previous experience and what has worked before. Well,
what hasn't worked.
Yeah.
Let's be honest, nothing worked.
What hasn't worked before, and also outline a little bit what her goals are with her wholesale and stuff. So we are not going to keep you waiting. We're just going to get straight into it. So Sasha, what has been your experience with wholesale in the past?
Okay, so I would describe my experience with wholesale as a shit show, I think, would be the most fair way to describe my experience with wholesale in the past. So we did talk about it on an episode of your podcast, so I'll try and make it quick in case anyone already knows. Basically, I cold called a major retailer, and this was like my first experience with wholesale, and they basically said yes, which I didn't expect, frankly. And so I went down to meet them, and they gave me a price of what they wanted my cards to be, and I think it was something like 42p or something like that, and it meant that I made, I can't remember, but like close to 10p, if not less than that, a card, and that does not include any labour. So I did an order for something close to 10,000 cards. My family set up like an Indian sweatshop because we're Indian, so my whole family was just banging out these cards, and I think, yeah, I made pennies. It literally was not worth it at all. I lost loads of time, I lost loads of money, and I basically, my whole view on wholesale was that, like, it's not for me, it's a waste of money, it's a waste of time, it's not profitable, trade shows are evil, people who do wholesale are idiots, and I think that was basically my previous experience.
And going back to like that retailer, what did you learn from that experience other than they was like a shit show?
What did I like? Loads of things. So this is embarrassing, but I didn't realize, so I sell greeting cards, that you're supposed to send them in pre-packs of 6. So bear in mind, this poor retailer did receive like 10,000 cards from me with no like organization, like just all kind of packed in a box. So then they had to like manually sort that out. But even things like I started to realize just how much I didn't know in terms of like barcodes or processes or what like files and stuff they needed. Yeah, there was so much I just didn't.
And also the fact that he just decided the price of your
Yeah,
cards.
so when I told Therese the story as we've been working together, I told her and she literally looked at me and she was like, but why did you say yes? And I was like, because he told me what I needed to do. And she was like, yeah, but that's not how it works. You're like, you're the seller. You can say no. You can be like, actually no, here are my like the minimums for it to work for me, and either like you can work to me or we'll just leave it, which just did not, because also they were such a big retailer. I was kind of the view of, if somebody really big wants to like buy your stuff, you just do whatever they say.
Yeah, I mean, you do bend backwards a little bit with certain things.
But not for 10p a card.
No. I mean, don't even think it's bend backwards. It's like they're very clear on what they need when they're a very bigger retailer, usually. This one wasn't, since they didn't tell you that you had to pack them in 6s. But there is actually, a reason why you have to. So, for example, for a big retailer, they would maybe send 6 or 12 cards out to each of their stores. Yeah. So, if they all come mixed, that's a nightmare.
Yeah.
As with, just like when you move house, if you don't like label the boxes, it's a nightmare.
I didn't think about any of that. Like, it didn't even occur to me, like, oh, they have 50 stores. They're not just going to keep it in their office. Like, it needs to get to the places that they go. Yeah, it didn't occur to me.
And like when they got one online order, they'd have to swift through all the 10,000 cards. Yeah, that also did not occur to you.
Yeah, there was a lot that didn't occur to me.
What other experience did you have with wholesale before?
I did a couple of I had just a series of just like awkward moments is basically my wholesale experience.
You did well with getting into some retailers.
Yeah, so what I did is I literally just did a lot of cold calling. So I had a really awful catalogue now I think about it, in terms of just visually it just didn't look very good. It didn't have all the information that they needed because I didn't know what they needed. But also I think this shows that like anybody can start, because I did literally just pick up the phone, ring loads of shops, got loads of no's, and then the odd person would be like, oh, I'll take an order. And so I had a lovely shop in Brighton called Creased Cards, and he agreed to take an order. And his order, it was the first order I sent, and I just put all the cards, neatly packaged them, but in a massive box. And I didn't think to fill the space with packing paper. So this box had 10 centimeters of just space.
Yeah.
And I sent it just through DPD, and then naturally the box ripped open. And he messaged me and he was like, it's almost like someone's taken out half the cards. And it didn't occur to me oh, the box ripped and they fell out. I was like, oh my God, DPD are stealing from me. I was convinced that these delivery drivers at DPD wanted some no one ripped open the box. And yeah, it was really stupid, but yeah, so thankfully he forgave me and he still orders from us regularly, which is very sweet. But I think there was just so much, and also it's really nice though, because you can mess up and it still be okay.
Yeah.
But even things like payment terms, I remember speaking to one shop and it was going fairly-ish well, and we were talking on the phone, and then he said he would place an order, and then I told him that we needed payment before people received the goods, and he got so angry. This man just started shouting at me on the phone. He was saying, what did he say? He was like, no, that's it. No, it's fine. And I was like, oh, I'm really, really sorry. And this is what I know now since working with you not to do. But I was like, oh, well, I can give you 30-day payment terms. And I was just please don't hang up on me. And he was just like, no, it's just unacceptable. And then just hung up. And so you do have to have tough skin.
I still want to know who this is, because I don't think many retailers do that. I think you were just extremely unlucky.
It was just a grumpy man. But after some of those experiences, I think part of my problem was because I was so haphazard with it, I just sort of gave up, because I had a couple of interactions like that where people might have been a bit rude, which isn't their fault. At the end of the day, I'm calling to sell them something. They might not be in the mood. but it just put me off, and it just made me feel a bit meh.
Do you think that experience, like, also have made you more cautious now when you're trying to reach out to shops? Because back then, you just basically were cold calling, and now you do not want to cold call.
Yeah, literally, when we've been working together, Teresa, like, pick up the phone, I was like, I don't want to. Yeah, I think I got, not PTSD, it's a bit dramatic, but I do think it has made me feel a bit like, I think before, also, I had nothing to lose, because I didn't know anyone, no one knew who I was, and what's a bit scary with Instagram is that now I've started to build my, like, brand around Checky Zebra, people know who I am a bit more, and I'm a bit like, oh, I don't want people to, like, tell somebody else that we had this really awkward interaction.
That is the roller coaster of, like, running a business, though, isn't it?
Yeah, I think I need to just get over it, frankly, because, like, but this is what working with you has really helped, is, like, the benefit of having somebody who can really get stuck into the detail of your wholesale and then just be like, no, you're being an idiot. You need somebody to be able to just tell
I've
you.
never told her she's being an idiot.
Oh, no, yeah, she hasn't. Guys, I make Teresa out to be a monster. Basically, Teresa says it really nicely. She's like, well, Sasha, like, do you think that that's really important and maybe that's holding you back? She says it really softly, but in my brain, I just translate it with, like, Teresa thinks you're being an idiot. You're being an idiot. Stop. Like, that's how yeah, she never actually, you're one of the nicest people I've actually ever met. Like,
it's so funny. What about this? So we do have some notes in front of us, so we're not doing it completely blindly.
Yeah, guys, we tried to prepare.
How about this thing?
What's this? Oh, yeah, okay, so, like, the note, by the way, just says pervy pink hair, which is amazing.
I didn't even want to say that.
So some of my cards are quite rude. No, you know what? They're actually majority are really, like, fun and cheeky and friendly and not rude. But I have a couple that are slightly ruder. And one of our slightly ruder cards is, like, a card that says, I like you more than masturbation. And when me and Therese were talking about this episode, we were just thinking about being really honest about, like, how my experience was when I was starting. And so for the I like you more than masturbation card, I drew a girl who's just got pink hair, and she looks a bit, like, seductive, and it's just, like, how it looks. I emailed one shop. I cold called one shop, and I sent him my range, and so I was calling him to, like, follow up, and he seemed to, like, I thought he seemed like he wanted the cards, but then he said something that made me feel ill in my mouth. He was like, oh, so you know that girl on the pink hair, is that what you look like then? And bear in mind, this girl's, like, a bit naked, and I was like, I literally, it really made me panic, and I was like, and then I think I might have been like, no, but I might dye my hair pink. Why did I say that? Why did I say that?
So it's so funny because I never had an experience like that, like, in, like, I don't know what, 13 years. Like, no one has ever been
weird with you.
Well, people have been not keen to, like, buy from me, have been a bit stern, but, like, they haven't been pervy like that.
Is that an accomplishment on my part? Do you know what? I think it's because my energy is so chaotic, so that when you do speak to me, and if I am feeling a bit awkward, like, I just say things. And so maybe he thought, like, oh, it's okay because she's a bit... Either way, he was weird. He was a weird guy.
Maybe he was like, trying to make some weird joke.
Do you know what? I can't
because
tell.
You're, like, so cheeky, like, in your humour. He thought you could take his humour. He was like, I finally found someone that can take my humour. And
I'm really sorry. It was not me. I'm not his girl.
Yeah. So why then, say, when we last spoke on the podcast, you were doing a lot with Facebook ads and running, like, big campaigns. So why do you think now was the right time to wholesale?
I love this because she knows the answer. So it's like, no, Teresa's like, tell the truth. Okay, so basically, I think I said this in the last episode we did. So I make almost 80% of my income through Facebook ads is what I was doing, which is obviously a dangerous position to be in. Last Father's Day, we realised how dangerous it was because our ads fell off a cliff. And I think it was partly because it was lockdown had just eased, the weather was really good, people didn't know it was Father's Day, people don't traditionally buy as much for Father's Day as they do for Mother's Day and Valentine's Day. And I'd invested a lot of money in a lot of stock. We printed demand, so it wasn't card stock, but it was like, if you've gone on my Instagram, you see there's boxes of envelopes. Like, I brought thousands of boxes because I just thought it would be the same as it was last year.
Yeah. They're now in her bedroom.
Yeah, by the way, my bedroom is, I ordered a pallet of boxes to my house and my bedroom's full of boxes. Love that. So so basically almost overnight, I was expecting to make a significant amount of money that didn't come in. And like I now have all of my cash is stuck in boxes. So it puts you in a tight cash flow position. And it really forced what I already knew, but I'd been really lazy about was I really need to diversify and I need to just strengthen my business up so that I'm getting more money through organic customers online, so just people buying organically, and also through wholesale to really strengthen it. And then I was like, shit, maybe all this stuff that Teresa's talking about might be valuable now. And I literally called Teresa like, hi, I think I need to eat some humble pie. I think I need some help.
Well, at least you didn't go back to like cold calling and giving people away your cards for free.
I mean, yeah, at least I didn't go. At least my solution wasn't, hi, anyone want to buy these cards for 10p?
So, what do you want to achieve with your wholesale? What is the goals?
So we sat down and you helped me work this out, and we helped work out like what like the profit would look like, how it would all work, which we can go into later. But we kind of said that by Christmas it would be great to have 10 regular stockists, which by the way to me feels like so many, but I think we can probably, so should we say like how we've done so far, or should we So since me and Teresa have been working together, I've had 2 US orders. I have got 2 UK regular customers. To be fair though, they were people that I knew before, but I've re-engaged with them, which I wouldn't have done or had stuff to give them since we worked together. So that's 4. That's 4!
Yeah.
And I've currently got a couple of people who have said that they are going to order, just not right now. So we've got like 3, I think, to go back to. So if they all come back.
How about the one in Europe too?
That's 8. Yeah. Oh, and her. So that's 9. If there's people who have said that they are interested and do like end up placing an order, and then we'll probably be at 9, which is crazy. And actually, like I do find generally that when people order from us, they do tend to reorder.
Yeah.
Because our cards are like, they already, before they brought them the first time, they know what cards they're getting, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And if they're really a fit, they usually reorder. So actually, what sounded like a horrendously terrifying goal at the start might actually be quite achievable.
Yeah, of course it is. It's just, I mean, we should probably add that yes, we started working together in the summer sometime.
Yeah.
But you only started doing your outreach maybe a month ago or something.
It's actually been so quick. Like
it's not been that long.
Oh yeah, don't think that I've been working on this consistently for months and this is where we've got. No, it's probably been probably a month of serious outreach.
A month is maybe 6 weeks potentially.
But I've had weeks where I've not been as good as I should have been. So like
yeah, you have had weeks.
I had like a week off or 2. What was the other thing to say? So we were kind of saying, then Teresa said something crazy to me. She was like, so what would be like the dream goal? And I remember being like, well, I'd get like 50 stockists, Teresa. Like that's not realistic. And I remember you being like, but why not?
Yeah. So then we set that as a goal for next year.
So the end of next year, I would love to have 50 stockists. And that will really help us out financially, because I think we worked out like
with average order
value of like about £150, and assuming that these shops ordered 8 times a year, which obviously some will order more, some will order less, so it should kind of even.
And some will order for more money, and some would order for maybe less money, but you know.
And we
actually, on average.
And like we worked out that and also this feels like a huge, like 50 feels massive to me right now, so it'll be interesting to see. But if that happened, I think we worked out that it could bring in close to like 30 grand.
Yeah.
Like of profit each year, which honestly
not turnover,
yeah,
profit,
which would massively, and that includes after VAT and everything, that would be like life-changing in terms of like just taking off some of that pressure around my whole life being dependent on like Facebook ads performing.
Yeah, especially since the way you've set it up to, you know, processing because you print to demand.
Yeah.
Processing a wholesale order is not that much trickier than processing a direct order.
Mm-hmm.
You can batch it together, so it doesn't take much more time. And actually, you make very similar amount of money on your wholesale as you do on your retail sales.
Yeah, margin's the same. I think margin might be slightly more favourable wholesale, but only slightly more.
But that's because you can batch it. you don't, it's ex VAT already.
It's the VAT point, I think, that makes the biggest difference.
Yeah, and if you were running ads, that would be a lot different.
Yeah, when I run ads, I think I mentioned this in the last podcast, my margin, especially now with VAT registered, the Facebook ads, like, my margins, ouch, is all I can say. I think they're like, it might, in some cases, it's like 10 to 15% margin.
Yes, but then you do then my volume, scale.
Yeah, which is why we do like 1,000 cards a day when we run ads for like a campaign. We smash it, but only if the ads work. If the ads don't work, then suddenly it's like, oh.
Do you think that is it the iOS update or whatever it was called? Do you think that was around Father's Day?
I can't remember, but I don't think that was the biggest thing for us, because often the iOS updates are more a pain. If I could be wrong, if you want to know more about this, ask Carly Stringer. But like, I think for us, when you're buying a card, it's quite an impulse product. The iOS tends to be hard for people who really need retargeting. So if they need that same person to see that ad consistently, whereas because the cards are $3.95, if they're going to buy it, they're probably just going to buy it. Then they don't need to like come back and see it later.
That's true. You just want them instantly.
Yeah, like quick. I just clicked things for no reason.
Other things that you worked on, like, has been like your minimum, like your average order value and stuff like that. There's lots of things that we've been talking about, which we are going to cover in the next episode.
Quite excited.
Yeah, I'm just looking through now. Like, next episode, which will be next week on Monday, we will be talking about the initial steps, pricing.
That was like a tough conversation.
The old catalogue versus the new catalogue, and exactly what you know now and what you didn't know back then, and also a little bit more about like the homework we set and stuff. So really excited. I hope you want to tune in then. Sasha, before we leave everyone in this episode, you want to say where people can find you and buy from you?
Yeah, thanks. So my Instagram is checkyyzebra.com, but you spell the .com, so DOTCOM. And our website is www.checkyzebra.com. So you'll see like all the boxes of envelopes there as well if you wanted to see my bedroom.
And I'm going to add in the show notes the links, and also the links to we mentioned Crease Cards and we mentioned Carly, so I'll add the links to that too. And if you are interested in working together one-to-one, you can apply to work with me on my website, so I'll add my links as well.
Teresa won't let me say this, but genuinely, guys, since I worked with her, it's actually been game-changing. So I'm hoping that we'll be able to show that just through when we talk through things, but it's almost like things I didn't even realise would be beneficial. I didn't know what I didn't know. So if you are thinking about doing wholesale, I definitely think you should consider it. Don't be awkward. It's so awkward talking about someone when they're there. You're like,
so awkward.
But like, well, you'll see from like how we go through this, like how much it's made a difference for me.
Well, thank you very much, everyone, for listening, and I hope you are excited about following along this journey.